Hello all, welcome back to the tutorial of C programming for beginners. Hi, this is Sakthi Arun, M.Tech student from NIT Patna. I'm technically supporting the missile Ingeniator. In this lecture video, I'm going to explain you guys with simple C program for factorial of numbers in C. Okay. So for factorial in C, I'm going to declare the variables factorial. This is to store the factorial result, and to find the factorial for some numbers. What are the numbers we want to find factorial? Say like 3 factorial or 5 factorial. So we have to declare the number, right? So I'm going to use another variable as number, okay, and then I'm going to use another variable as loop counter, okay. So this loop counter is basically used for the how many number of loops we have to go for. So that will be decided by this loop counter, okay. So to start with that process, I'm going to use I'm going to use the variable as okay, these three variables, and then what we have to do is we have to initialize we have to get the values of the variables whatever we have declared, right? So to do that, I'm going to use percentage d. So basically I'm going to get the two values from the user. So one is the number for which we have to find the factorial. The next thing is the loop counter, which we have to decide based upon our logic, okay. So these two values I'm getting from the user. So I have to use ampersand here for getting the values from the user, okay. So the next thing is okay, we can also use a printf statement to know what is the value we have entered. So then the number equal to, okay, so the number equal to, we have to use this variable, okay. So percentage d for integer type, the number equal to percentage d, and the loop counter, okay. So this is basically designed how many number of loops we have to give. So this is for percentage d, and then you can also use the other variables if you want, but now as of now we have to print the results after we get the values, final output whatever we are getting, right? It should be printed after the logic conditions, okay. So the next thing is after we give the printf statement, we have to go for the initializing the value. So for initializing the value, I'm going to use the factorial as 1, okay. So the factorial I'm going to use 1, and the next thing is I'm going to declare the variable as number. For number we will be getting the runtime, and for loop counter also how many loops it has to go. We can decide actually in the scanf statement, or what we can do is I'm going to instead using here, right? Instead of using here, we can use in our program only instead of the runtime variables, okay. So I'm going to remove that whatever I have declared here, right? I'm going to remove, okay. But I'm going to use another thing is escape sequence new line, okay. So this basically provide a new line for the printer statement, okay. So the next thing is what we have to do is I'm going to initialize the value of loop counter is 1. So loop counter equal to 1, because in the initial conditions our loop has to be start from the initial value to be 1, okay. So the next thing is I'm going to use a while loop for performing these operations. So for that I'm going to use a loop counter, okay. So this loop counter should always be less than or equal to whatever the number we are declaring, okay. So basically if you are giving like a value as a 5, then it has to go start from 1 till the 5, okay. So the next thing is inside the while loop, what we have to do is we have to store the factorial value, okay. So to do that I'm using the same factorial variable, okay. This factorial is used for storing the result of factorial of the value, okay. And then we have to use storage, and then the loop counter, okay. So the next thing is we have to increment the loop counter value to be 1, okay. So this plus plus is nothing but post increment. It also represents loop plus 1, okay. So this is another set of declarations we use in the C program. Now let us print the value of the result, okay. So to do that, we have to use a printer statement for printing the value. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the factorial result value, okay. So the factorial is equal to, okay, factorial Okay, so now let me run the program for finding the factorial of the number. So I then the entered number will be 5. Okay, now basically 5 is used for five or two or three, these numbers whatever I'm going to declare in the output window is you is going to find the factorial for those numbers. Okay, so we have to use percentage d here. Okay, it's a simple modification I have to do here because I have used now only one variable. Now let me run the program. Okay, 5. So the number whatever I'm going to do is 5, and the factorial of 5 is 120. Okay, so how do we find the factorial? Let me give the explanations for finding the factorial. Okay, so I'm going to use I'm going to explain you guys how we find the factorial. Say if you are finding the factorial for 5, then you have to multiply like 1 stars 2 and then stars and 3 and then 4 and then 5. Okay, so 1 into 2 is 2 and 2 into 3 is 6 and 6 into 4 is 24. Okay, and 24 into 5 is 120. Okay, so the factorial of 5 is 120. That's what we expected, and the expected output we got in the output window. Okay, so the factorial of 5 is 120. So this is how we perform the factorial. So inside the while loop, what happens is initially the loop counter value is 1. Okay, so 1 is less than the number is 5. 5 I have entered the number as 5. So 1 is less than or equal to 5. So that this condition becomes true and it comes inside here. So initially the value of factorial is 1. So 1 starts 1 is 1. So the factorial value initially it's 1. Okay, so initially the value is 1. The next case what happened, the loop counter value is incremented to 2. When it comes here 2 is less than 5, so the condition is success. So it comes here, the initial value is 1 and okay, the factorial value is 1 in the previous case and loop counter is 2. So 1 starts 2, the value is equal to 2. Okay, so now the factorial value is 2. So similar case we go for next case and we get the output of the tutorial. Okay, the factorial. Okay, so if you guys have any doubt or comment in this factorial in C, please post it in the comment section window. Okay, thank you all for watching this lecture video.